We're going to go ahead and continue with the University of Washington. Coach Steve Sarkisian, quarterback Keith Price, and cornerback Desmond Trufant.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for coming and taking the time to promote the Pac-12 conference and all that we do and how we do things here, obviously in a first-class manner, and can't thank you enough for being part of this. I'm hopeful by the time we walk out of here, if you guys get a chance to go in the back, they got all the names of the bands and artists who have performed here, that maybe get Keith Price up there or something when we're done here tonight, spray paint that up there. But anyhow, it's great for me to be here for the first time now in 4 years to bring two players who we actually recruited into this program. And I think it speaks volumes to where we're headed. This is a team that has got a great culture about themselves, and one that I believe is headed in the right track of not only what we're doing on the field, but off the field in the classroom. It's a young, talented football team that is maturing rapidly. I think we're projecting to start 4 seniors this fall, Desmond being one of those. So it's a great time to be a Husky. It's an intriguing time with the new defensive staff on board, who I couldn't be more impressed with Justin Wilcox, Tosh Lupoy, Keith Hayward, Peter Sermon, their recruiting prowess that they've brought, as well as what they've been doing on the football field as coaches. They've put a lot of challenges on Keith and what he's had to do in spring ball. And then also from a standpoint of where we're headed from a recruiting standpoint and some of the players that might be able to step in and contribute early on for us as we move forward. This is always an exciting time of year for me because, you know, the anticipation of the college football season, I think, is what is so intriguing, that all of you are here to support college football. You're here writing about it, you're typing about it, we're blogging about it. I think it speaks volumes to what college football means in this country, the passion that it provides, the pageantry as we move into August and the training camps, and you're trying to formulate your team. And we obviously have a team that is one we're proud of. We think we're on the brink of something special here at the University of Washington. We're all very aware of the renovation at Husky Stadium and how unbelievably fast they're working on this thing, and the steel that's going up and all that's happening. And so the opportunity for us to play at CenturyLink Field this fall, I think roughly 2.5 miles from our campus against some tremendous opponents, is one that we're embracing. I know these guys are excited about. And it's a great schedule, you know, for us to open with the San Diego State team early in the season that has done some tremendous things the last 2 years, and then to go down to Baton Rouge and take on LSU as a challenge that we're embracing. Come back and play a Husky alum and Nigel Burton in Portland State, coming up to play us in Seattle, and then kicking off Pac-12 play and taking on the 3 most successful teams right off the bat in Pac-12 play the last 3 to 4 years, in Stanford on a Thursday night at home, going down to Oregon and playing at Autzen Stadium, and then coming back up to take on SC. So it's an exciting first half of the season. I think we'd be remiss to put all our eggs in the basket of the first half of the season. We have to understand this is a 12-game regular season schedule. The goal is to play 14 games, and I think we're on the right path to do that. You know, this, as I said before, having 2 guys that you recruited here with you, I think sets the stage for us of the culture that we talked about developing from day one when I got hired. Now, 4 years later, that culture is in place. This is the most competitive team we've had with one another, whether within the position groups or against one another, offense or defense, and then I think ultimately on the field, but also the most together a team we've had since we've been here. It's not about inheriting some players, bringing in new ones. These are our guys, and we love them to death. They give us everything they have every day. So can't wait for the season to get started.
We'll go ahead and take questions. Right here in the right 5th row.
Hey, Steve. First, what's the plan to try and replace Chris Polk's production? And then regarding USC's, you know, the preseason #1 nationally, you were there dealing with that pressure. What's it like internally, week to week, you know, everybody expecting a national championship or bust?
Replacing Chris, I think we've got some really cool guys in place, and Jesse Collier and Bishop Sankey. whether it's one of them, both of them, or beyond that, Deontay Cooper's another guy we're hopeful to get back. Also, the addition of some younger players. I think that position is one that we feel good about the depth. How he gets replaced remains to be seen, you know, and maybe we throw the football a little bit more with this guy to my left because he's so talented. We utilize him a bit more of the short passing game, remains to be seen, you know. So as far as SC, you know, Lane's done a great job, and they've got a very talented football team. Obviously, Barkley, Woods, Lee. The defense, I think, is a bit underrated, what they were able to do the second half of the season, and then what Moody McNeil brought late in the year, their ability to run the football. So, you know, I don't know how they handle it internally. I think it's a different staff. It's a different time, a different era. What I do know, and I know Lane knows this, in this conference, you got to play every week. There are no gimmies, and I think the conference has changed in that aspect over the years. This conference is very balanced. It's deep. You have to show up week in and week out or you get beat, and that's probably the biggest challenge of them all, especially playing the 9 conference games.
Question down the front row on the right.
Nick Hamilton here. This question is actually for Keith Price. Last year in the bowl, you played against RG3. What did that mean for you to play against a quarterback of his stature, and then what did it mean for you also going into this season to elevate your game?
Before the game, Coach Sark said that we were going to break records. That's first off. So I knew he was going to call up some stuff. But I knew it was a big stage. But it's either you show up or you go home. And I think the offense, we showed up to play. Obviously, we didn't get the win. But it was fun playing against RG3. He's a great talent. But we lost the game.
On the far right, third row in the end.
Hi, John Krumpecker, San Francisco Chronicle. Steve, you mentioned earlier Tosh Lupoy, and he had a situation last January. He was recruiting a certain number of players for Cal, and then literally the very next day he was recruiting those same players for you. Do you consider that, and I know it happens throughout college football, but do you consider that ethical?
Oh, I think it's the business. I think that, you know, the decisions we make as a program and as a head coach, I have to do what's in the best interest of the University of Washington, our athletic department, and our football program. And when we made the decision to make changes on our defensive staff, we wanted to go out and try to hire some of the best coaches in the country and some of the best recruiters in the country. And I think Justin Wilcox, Peter Sermon, Tosh Lupoy, Keith Hayward, they fit that criteria. It was not the intent in making that hire to try to go steal another school's recruits. It was about to better the University of Washington, not only in the short term, but for the long term and for our long-term success on the football field. And I believe we've done that.
Question down here up front in the third row in the center.
Steve, Ryan Divish with the News Tribune. Could you talk a little bit more about your offensive line going into the fall camp, what you learned about them in the spring, and some of the questions that are still surrounding them?
Well, the questions are obvious. You know, when you think you return 4 starters off your offensive line, you lose one to a medical hardship in Colin Porter. You're down to 3, and one of those 3 is Colin Tanagawa coming off of a knee. You've got concerns. I think we have enough depth at the position to where we have some versatility there that we'll be able to do some things to make that happen. Obviously, that is one of our question marks, like every program has going into training camp, of who are going to be our 5 guys and where do they fit, and making sure that our best players are in the toughest positions so that we can be successful. You're going to see times this training camp, you're going to see Drew Schaefer some at left tackle because being the senior, he's played out there at that tackle spot. You're going to see Tanagawa at center. You'll see Kohler at center. And we'll do it in a quickly and timely manner to get the best situation, the best 5 guys for us to be successful on the field so that we can run the football the best, so that we can protect this guy the best, and so that we have the best continuity as we continue to move forward. And so, but like anything, we've got question marks, like running back, like O-line, the linebacker spot, and the O-line happens to be one of those.
Back row in the center.
Sarah Cazell, Pac-12 Digital. We've been soliciting questions from fans via Facebook and Twitter. And so, Keith, there's a question for you from an Alex Larson. He wants to know, even though you were amazing last year, have you made any adjustments in the off season that have helped you?
Actually, I'm still learning things. Obviously, you know, I'm not a senior, so last year was only my first year. But I think the next step for me is recognizing defenses and being able to change protections and getting ourselves into manageable plays, you know, without Coach Sark having to tell me to check. You know, I think that's the next step for me. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been working on it all off season, and so hopefully we can see a lot of that this year.
Right in the center.
Steve, first of all, could you give us an update on Aloy Jamora? And are you guys, is there a verdict on the 3-4 versus the 4-3, or is it the famous media creation of the hybrid scheme?
I kind of like the hybrid. You know, it's kind of a hip term now, I guess, in the car industry, so we'll keep hybrid. Jamora looks great. He's really recovering well from the knee. He looks beautiful. He was up my office the other day. I mean, he's just under 260 pounds. He looks strong. It feels like all of the rehab and everything that he's put into this is paying off for him. So it's going to be a unique situation with the addition of getting Jamora back, where Josh Shirley fits with that, Andrew Hudson, who really came on strong in the second half of the season for us. That's why the hybrid term is there. We're going to have moments in games where we appear and look more of a 4-3 defense, and there's going to be moments in games when we're going to appear and look like a 3-4 defense. And that's a real tribute to Justin Wilcox and his ability to, you know, install a defense that has enough flexibility and versatility to incorporate the current personnel on our roster and to put the guys in the best positions to be successful when they're on the field. And so far, so good. Like I said, I thought our defense had a tremendous spring. They gave the offense fits. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Question up in the theater seating, about 8 rows up in the center.
Pete Weitzner, Chapman News, Chapman Business Report. Year 4, so far so good, back-to-back bowls. Where does this fit then on your overall plan to be a national champion contender? And quick second question, who did you piss off in the Pac-12 scheduling office to get those back-to-back games?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we ran the score up a little too much back in the day at the other school. I don't know, something. But I think that, you know, when we look at who we are heading into year 4, I think we've made incremental progress. I think from what we inherited to who we were in year 1, winning 5 football games, and so frustrating even now looking back on that season, losing the game at Notre Dame, losing at Arizona State, losing at UCLA. That team could have easily been an 8-win team. And then the next year with Jake coming back, fighting through injuries and different things to show the resolve that our team showed to win those final 3 ball games in the regular season, then to go on and win that Holiday Bowl. Then last year to start out the year, I think it was 6-2 to become bowl eligible, and then stumble a bit late, and then ultimately beating Washington State and playing a very good Baylor team, and the frustration obviously with that loss. I think we're progressing incrementally, but we're also learning along the way. Every season's been different for us. They haven't all been the same. The challenge for us now is to put it all together. And ultimately, you play the hand you're dealt. You know, you get dealt the hand, and you've got short weeks. You've got to go on the road. You've got to play tough teams. But at the end of the day, you play the hand you're dealt. And I think that's one of the beauties of these guys who have been with us since day 1, of hearing the consistent messaging. It's not about what just happened to me. It's about what we're going to do about it. That's our schedule. Let's go play it.
On the far right, 3rd row on the end, far right.
John Krumpecker, San Francisco Chronicle. Steve, what plans do you have for Shaq Thompson this season as a true freshman?
Well, we got to get Shaq on campus first. I was jokingly thinking, you know, everyone's ripping Shaq for 0 for 39 with 37 Ks. I'd probably been 0 for 39 with 39 Ks, so he outdid what I probably would have done if I was playing baseball. But the first things first, we got to get him acclimated to our defense and to get him in shape and all those things. He hasn't been with us this summer in our summer elite program, but he's going to learn our defense first, and we're going to give him every opportunity to compete, to get on the field defensively. There will be moments where we're going to look at him some on the offensive side of the ball because he's such a talented kid, but ultimately it's getting him acclimated on the defensive side of the ball, and if he's prepared to play, we're going to play him.
Additional questions?
You guys, can I ask True a question just because I feel bad he's been sitting up here with us? True, what do you think of our new defensive coaches and kind of what's going on with our defense and what you think of it heading into your senior year?
Man, the defense is looking good. Spring ball went great. Obviously, in the beginning, we had to learn it, so there was some mistakes. But once we stopped thinking, we was just out there playing and competing.
Cool.
Got a question here in the center.
Kept it going.
Yeah, this is a follow-up for Desmond with the new staff, and a lot of the talk about the SEC and its dominance recently has been the speed on the defensive side of the football. How much has that been emphasized with you guys playing a fast style of defense?
Definitely, that's what they teach is speed. Speed kills in this game. When you got speed, you can make up for a lot of things, and in the secondary and coming in the D linemen, they're going to be blitzing, and speed is our strength in the secondary, so we're going to be using speed to our advantage.
Question in the center.
This is for Steve and for Desmond, too. Obviously, Justin Wilcox pretty much universally praised higher. How much can a defense improve from one year to the next? I mean, can it be dramatic improvement? Can this be a top-rated defense in the conference, or is it going to kind of be incremental, like you said some of the other things
Well,
were?
I think it can be dramatically improved. I go back to one instance in our own conference when Dwayne Walker came to UCLA and the dramatic impact he had on their defense. And I feel something eerily similar with us right now. I think that we have better talent on our defense than maybe we're given credit for. A lot of it's young. A lot of it, there were some growing pains that guys had to go through as young players. The Danny Sheltons, the John Timus, the Princeton Foymoanos, the Josh Shirleys, the Andrew Hudsons, the Greg Ducrays. A lot of guys played a lot of football as true freshmen, true sophomores. And now as they've matured, they understand the preparation that needs to be laid to make that happen. But a new re-energized focus that Justin brings and his staff brings. And these guys have, again, I want to give them credit for their ability to be flexible to fit the personnel that we have. I mean, for them to make the decision and to think that Nate Fellner, who's been a 3-year starter for us at safety, can now come down and play an outside backer spot for us, to implement some of the 3-4 principles to fit Josh Shirley's strengths, to bring Desmond into the nickel and bring him in on the slot where he can do some things coming off the edge, blitzing, covering slot receivers man-to-man, were things that we hadn't done before that I think have really helped us make dramatic strides and changes in a short amount of time. And I only say this because I know the difficulty we had offensively going against them this spring. So obviously time will tell. Obviously fall camp, there's still improvement and things that need to get done. But I don't feel like this is going to be a long drawn out process. I think that this thing can get turned around relatively quickly.
Okay, no more questions? All right, very good. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.